Hi, do you know this game? This is Shinigami Preschool. Right now, it is on Kickstarter known as Reaper Preschool. I'm going to tell you all about why you should know more about this game. But I'm also going to tell you why it's on this shelf next to this game and why it's just the tip of a much bigger iceberg. Here is the game box. Shinigami Preschool is a must-follow trick-taking game. You'll see that the deck consists of 4 suits, each suit numbered 1 through 9. If you look closely, you can also see that it is colorblind friendly for our colorblind gamer buddies. And you can also check out the cool, very friendly art from Sai Beppu, as usual. Ta-da! Now, as I said, this is a must-follow trick-taking game. So if one player plays, let's say, a red 5, if you have a card of the same color, then you must play it. Or if you have a card of the same number, then you must play it. Now, you can choose whether or not to follow with color or number, and if you have neither of those, well, then you could play any card that you want. But this is a trick-taking game, so whoever has the strongest card takes the tricks. So I'm going to show you 3 possible outcomes and showing you who wins each trick. So on our first example here, the first player plays a red 5, red 2, red 9, and red 4. All the cards follow the same suit, therefore the highest number wins, and therefore number 9 would win because it is the highest number out of the reds played. In the next example, we have a red 5, a red 2, a blue 1, and a yellow 5. Now, because this number was played, as soon as someone follows with the same number, then instead of the highest card of the lead suit winning the trick, the lowest card wins the trick. Therefore, because this was played, this reverses, going from highest wins to lowest wins, and therefore the red 2 wins this trick. They would then take all the cards and place it in front of them. Now for the last, the first player leads off with a red 5, and then a red 9. So far they are winning the trick because they're following and they have the highest card of that suit. Then this 5 is played, and therefore not the highest, but the lowest wins, and therefore this should be winning. And then now you have this. So there's an interesting problem here, is that now, because this 5 was followed suit, instead of the highest, the lowest wins. Well, the lowest is 5 still, and 5 has been played 3 times. Therefore, the last person to play 5 wins, and yellow 5 wins this trick. They take all the cards, and they place it in front of them. You're going to wash, rinse, repeat this until everyone is out of cards, and then you'll score for the round. And let's go ahead and check that out. Now, I do want to mention that the game also comes with a nifty little player aid such as this. Now, this is in Japanese, but the Kickstarter will have this translated into English for you. I don't read Japanese. I do read Chinese, but this won't help me at all with this player aid. But I've played a lot of games, and I can explain what this looks like in English. Now, all of this right here explains everything that I taught you about how to play the game. That is a must follow. You must follow the color or the number. Now, over here are the number of players. So in a 2, 3, 4 player game, you'll play with cards 1 through 6, 1 through 8, and 1 through 9. So if you play with fewer players, you'll use less of the deck. And in a 2, 3, 4 player game, you'll see your hand size will be 11, 10, and 9 cards. Over here is after you dealt all the cards to each player, you'll see there'll be 2 cards undealt, 2 cards undealt, and no cards undealt, because in the 4-player game, you'll use all the cards possible. And then over here is how many rounds you'll play. So in a 2, 3, 4-player game, you'll play 4, 3, 4 rounds of the game. And then next, we're going to go on to scoring. And that's what the back here is for. And we're going to zoom back out, and I'll show you some cards. You'll notice that on the card there's A, B, C, D, and E. And right now I'm going to break that down and show you what that all means. And again, this will all be translated into English, so you don't have to worry. So at the end of a game, if you have a pair, well, then you'll get 1 point. If you have 4 of a kind, well, then you'll get 4 points. If you happen to have 1 or 3 of a kind, well, then you will get 0 points from that. And that's what A, B, and C here on the scorecard remind you. D is something that's really interesting. If you shoot the moon and you have 0 cards because you won 0 tricks, well, then in a 2-player game, you will just win the game immediately. In a 3-player game, you'll get a whopping 10 points. The last section here for E is just a friendly reminder that if you happen, like this player here, get to all the cards of an entire suit, 1 through 9 here in this case, well then in a 2, 3, 4-player game, you'll get 4 to 6 points. And then you play 3 or 4 rounds, keeping tally of your score, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins Shinigami Preschool. As promised, 4 reasons why I think you can strongly consider backing this game. Number 1, approachability. Now, I know that Japanese games can be kind of intimidating when I bring them to the table. Now, my group has gotten kind of used to it because I'm always pulling wacky things out of my backpack. But when I go to a new environment, I can see that hesitation of people pulling slightly away from the table. But Grim Reaper Preschool, or I'm going to call it Shinigami Preschool, has the artwork of Sai Beppu, and we'll talk more about her in just a little bit. But the artwork makes the game very, very cute and very, very approachable. And I know a lot of people throw off theme and art, like, well, it's not that important, but I really beg to differ. Because of the art, people are willing to give this game a chance, and that's all you need. Because with that one chance, you will find a game that's very, very rewarding. And the fact that the art is very cute and very, very kid-friendly in this dark humor sort of way, if you find that Shinigami or Death Gods are not that terrifying, because they are. But the game is very approachable, and I find that it's really approachable for gamers of all ages and experiences. Number 2, I often hear people asking me, Jay, what are games that are easy to learn and hard to master? Games that give me really quick teach time, but a lot of depth to the gameplay that I can find it rewarding playing again and again. And I think Grim Reaper Preschool has that sense of layering in that design. Now, one of the things you may not have caught from that teach is that there's actually a lot of open information in the game. Every card that you collect, you're placing it face up for everyone to see, and because of that, there's so much open information. Card counting becomes significantly easier, and you can kind of thwart other people's plans and boost your own at the same time. And there is a little bit of layering into when you should follow with color or when you should follow with number. How to make sure that someone gets certain cards, how to make sure someone does not get certain cards. And there is a lot to think about with each card that you play. Number 3, travel size. Now, I am increasingly mobile. I know that hybrid work environments and remote work environments are on the rise, but I'm constantly on the go and I'm going places and I'm playing more and more games and going to more meetups. This is easy to fit, literally easy to fit in your pocket or in your backpack without a problem. And I really, really love that about games from Asia. And another cool thing is that if you have KLX shelves like I do and a lot of other gamers do, it fits so nicely on the shelf. You just place it on front and it just pops. People will be looking at your collection and be like, whoa, 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 what's this little game here? And then you can tell them all about it. Now, number 4, as I promised you, this game is actually just the tip of a much bigger story. And we're gonna move to the tabletop for this one. Whew, you ready? Sit down, because it's gonna be one hell of a ride. Shinigami Preschool was first published by Game Nawa. And that publisher is pretty much this dynamic duo, Kenichi Kabuki, who does the designing, and Sai Beppu, who does the art. They're mostly known for the most successful game, 5-3-5. What is that game? Well, 5-3-5 gets its name from the card distribution of the game. But what's more important right now is that 5-3-5 is currently fulfilling from its Kickstarter campaign. But Game Nawa didn't run that campaign. It was run by Portland Game Collective. That's right, Portland from the US. Now, Portland Game Collective is just a whole bunch of gamers living in Portland who play trick-taking games every single week like clockwork. And they decided to get together. They have a huge Discord, which I definitely recommend joining because they're always talking about trick-taking games and board games as well. But they started to eventually say, you know what, let's start bringing these games over because we're tired of waiting for other publishers to get these games and then bring them over. Let's just start bringing them over themselves. So they brought over 5-3-5. And is that a good game? Is it successful? Well, just moments ago, Tom Brewster from Shut Up and Sit Down did a review of 5-3-5 where he talked about it. And I think that he was actually on the nose with how that game feels. Shinigami Preschool came out like a year or two ago, and this year they came out with Nightmare Millionaire. Now, you may have heard about this, you may not. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, then you've definitely heard about this. Now, TT, Thinky Themer, really two cool girls. I met them at Tokyo Game Market this year. They got this, and they talked about this on their channel, about how much they enjoy playing it, because it's a hand-shading game that has a few little wrinkles that adds a little bit more fun and twist and makes it really, really fast. In addition to that, TTT, Taylor's Trick-Taking Table, also talked about this game, and talked about just the same as before, that it's this hand-shading game and it has a few interesting wrinkles, to use his words, and creates this fun, fast, very approachable style gameplay. And this is the same team. This, and 535. So these are games that people are beginning to talk about and that are slowly making their way to the West. Now, I mentioned Sai Beppu. Remember her? Well, Sai Beppu is this prolific artist from Japan. If you go to Board Game Geek, you'll see that she has done the artwork and been involved with well over 50 games, and those are just on Board Game Geek. I'm sure if you go to boardgames, which is the Japanese version of their Board Game Geek, you'll see that there are even more games that she's been involved in. When I first casually met her at Tokyo Game Market this year, I was told that, yeah, this is Sai Beppu. She does the art for like half the games here at Tokyo Game Market. And I don't think that's an overstatement. Now you're thinking, so what, like 50 games? There are probably 50 games I've never heard of. It's like, but I beg to differ. One of the games that she worked on was Aqua Garden by Uchibukoya. Uchibukoya started running their own Kickstarter campaigns, and they've been pretty successful thus far. Aqua Garden is probably their most successful campaign. So you've heard about this? Well, Mike DeLisio from the Dice Tower from Midwest Annex talks about this game and how much he loves this game for how bright it is, how colorful it is, all the interesting meeples, and Sai Beppu was a part of this project. This little game is called Nana, which means 7. Sai Beppu did the art of this game. This is, without a doubt, one of the best card games that I have ever played from not just Japan, but ever. It's that good. How good is it? Well, Thinky Themer talked about this game in their Tokyo Game Market video about how they played all these games, and then Monique and Naveen from Before You Play were just like, you know, let's just play another game of Nana, because Nana was really good. And that's how amazing Nana is. But don't take their word for it. Jamie Stagmeyer from Stonemeyer Games, he talked about this game, about how much he loved this game, and in one of his previous videos as well. In fact, a Spanish publisher, Cocktail, picked this up and called it Trio. And now if you go to Board Game Geek, it'll be in that name, Trio. And it's a big shame because I think Sai Beppu's artwork did an amazing job with this game. Because normally people will be like, oh, memory, go fish, that's not that exciting. Oh, cute artwork, I'll give this game a try. And then it just became amazing. And people talk about this game, they play this game, and they absolutely love it. It's that good. Still not convinced? Well, Sai Beppu also worked on Nokosu Dice. Naveen from Before You Play flew from America across the world's largest ocean to Japan for Tokyo Game Market to find a copy of Nokosu Dice, which, guess what, Sai Beppu worked on. That's right. She has this Midas touch of art on games, and that's why this is something that's worth paying attention to. So what is the big hullabaloo about? What's the big iceberg here, Jay? Well, the thing is that, you know, a couple of years ago, Quinns from Shut Up and Sit Down talked about how this is the golden age of board games. And the last 15 years, there's been more innovation in board games than there have been in video games. And while you could argue that to your heart's content, I personally don't think he's wrong. That there have been more board games coming out this year, every single year, than the previous year. And on top of that, right now, is an Asian renaissance of games, meaning that publishers from the West are licensing more and more games from Asia. When you buy this game, when you play this game, just remember that this is part of a larger story about how more and more games from Asia are coming to the West. Now, if that's a topic that really excites you like it does for me, then definitely check out my next video. See you there.